Waves of constant change. Lives disrupted. New normals, leaving us feeling breathless. Yet some companies ride these waves, emerging stronger and more resilient than before. What gives these companies the edge? What are the active ingredients in the formula for success? What is the role of an enabling culture? Where does the employee value proposition fit in? And how can the science of employee benefits help your employees to become strategic enablers of success? Welcome to Partnership Connect 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your MC for this morning, Kawekazi Mdikane, Chief Marketing Officer for Momentum Corporate.
Hello, my name is Kawekazi and I have the privilege of being your MC today. Success. Who does not aspire to some degree of personal or professional success? And what makes some leaders and companies more successful than others? Even in the most disruptive and turbulent times, certain companies ride the wave of change and challenge and emerge a bit battered and bruised, but still ahead of the game and widely perceived as an employer of choice. Today, we have formulas for everything, from life-saving vaccines to winning the Rugby World Cup. Thank you for joining our journey today to explore some of the active ingredients that make up the formula for delivering organizational success. We live in turbulent and challenging times. Change, accelerated by technology and the evolving needs and preferences of younger generations, was already the name of the game before COVID-19. Come to think of it. However, what the pandemic has further accelerated is the pace of change, leaving us breathless at times and creating a chapter of many new challenges. Despite these unprecedented times, each one of you, as business leaders and financial advisors, are required to make decisions and provide advice that will impact on your business and clients for many years to come. Leaders who inspire success understand the why of their organizations. This is their purpose, this is their values, and the reason for being. And when the why resonates with an employee or a client, they are more likely to engage and to be inspired to be productive and become passionate brand advocates. The goal is to employ and forge business relationships with people who believe in what you do. We all want employees who are loyal, believe in our business vision, and feel invested in the success of our businesses. Recent research by McKinsey shows that employees who feel their personal purpose is connected and aligned to the organization's purpose tend to be healthier, more resilient, they are more engaged, and they are loyal, and they become strong brand advocates. Those of you who are Apple fans, like I am, pause for a moment and think about the why we pay a premium for an Apple product. If you can think as far back, around 20 years ago, Apple started communicating their why in a campaign called Think Different. When people buy an Apple product, what they're really buying into is the innovation, it's the disruption, and a different way of thinking that really has changed the world. COVID-19 has triggered many of us, both as businesses and individuals, to reflect on our purpose just because it's impacted so many aspects of our lives. The pandemic has presented leaders with a whole new set of challenges that we need to overcome on our journey to success. But I'd be negligent in my duties as Chief Marketing Officer for Momentum Corporate if I dwell too long on another brand. So, let me now share a little about the why at the center of our own brand, Momentum. If you're familiar with any of our marketing and advertising or communication, you will know that our brand positions itself on being here for every client's journey to success. Our brand essence is specifically anchored on enabling success. As you know, we belong to the branded house of Momentum. Momentum Corporate is a sub-brand of this mother brand. So what does enabling success mean for Momentum Corporate? For Momentum Corporate, this means partnering with corporate leaders, financial advisors, retirement fund trustees, and individual employees to help each of these key players achieve their business and individual goals throughout their journey to success. You will hear a lot about Momentum Corporate's why over the next few months. As the saying goes, you need to watch the space, because I'm working on an exciting plan to define our reason for being and our purpose. Our clients' needs are diverse, complex, and constantly evolving in response to an environment in a state of flux. This is why advice plays a critical role in our clients' journey to success at Momentum Corporate. We believe in the value and the power of advice and partnerships. We innovate endlessly to deliver evidence-based solutions that enable advisors to bring their best advice to life for each unique client. Today is about exploring how we can support you during one of the most challenging times in modern history. It's really about sharing insights that will help you achieve business success. The conversation that we're starting today will continue across various platforms, including on our LinkedIn page. At the end of this webinar, you will have the opportunity to engage with our speakers, and we will share where you can download the full research report. Please post your questions in the questions tabs, which you'll see at the right-hand side of your screens. And also don't forget to click Ask once you've finished typing. We will try to answer as many relevant questions as possible in the limited time that we have available to us. Now that you know where the questions box is, you can maximize your screens for the best possible viewing experience. Our keynote speaker today is Dr. Alex Granger. He's a think shifter, he's a global speaker, and an author. He says he's about the how behind the why, and he will share his thoughts on how adaptive leadership creates an organizational culture that drives business success. Then our CEO, Dumombete, will share the fascinating results of the research that we've conducted with business leaders, financial advisors, and employees to show how the science of employee benefits as part of an engaging employee value proposition can create an enabling company culture that contributes significantly to organizational success. Our executive for Funds at Work and Group Insurance, Nico van der Walt, will share the tangible evidence of the different parts of the formula in action. Now I'd like to hand over to our keynote speaker, Dr. Alex Granger. Over to you, sir.
Today, I'd like to speak to you about adaptive leadership. You know, in life, we are often made to adapt by force if we are not willing to adapt in love. And the world crisis and the pandemic that we've been facing is teaching this lesson with great intensity. And the lesson is this: change or be changed, for the world will surely change us. In 1930, the Choluteca Bridge was built in the Honduran city of Choluteca. It was built as a state-of-the-art bridge, immovable, unshakable, sturdy and strong, to withstand any type of hurricane or typhoon or any type of adverse weather. It was a good thing that they did, because in 1998, Hurricane Mitch came tumbling through Honduras, killing over 7,000 people and disrupting lives and destroying buildings and roads. But the Choluteca Bridge stood firm as a testament to its intended permanence. The only problem was that even though this bridge, the Choluteca Bridge, stood firm, stood immovable and unshakable, the river that it once crossed had itself moved. And so we now learn that the Choluteca Bridge, as a metaphor for adaptability, fails to adapt when things change. I mean, you can even think about the coronavirus today. How when we are trying to circumvent and navigate it, it is also mutating and adapting. So for leaders today, we are learning great lessons on adaptability. In these dire times that we are faced, people are struggling, and leaders are called to coach and mentor their staff. But for them to be able to do this requires 3 levels of competence. And so the first level of competence is emotional competence. This is about authenticity and empathy and social skills. In fact, we know about the 5 dimensions of emotional intelligence. The first one being the most important, self-awareness. How self-aware are you of yourself? Do you know your strengths, your areas for development, your capabilities, your competencies, your talents, and your gifts? And as a leader, are you then able to lead more effectively? Because once you understand self, then you can move on to the second dimension, which is about self-regulation, which isn't about restricting or constraining yourself, but it's really about liberating yourself with the ability to express yourself in your leadership. The third is about motivation. As leaders, we are called to motivate our staff, to be able to sort of empower them with passion and zeal and excitement for the work that they do. But of course, we can't lead without empathy, and I'm going to cover empathy in a bit of a while. The fifth dimension is about conflict resolution or relationship management. Because once you're aware of self and can regulate self, you're able to build good teams around you, build good relationships around you. The second level of competence is physical competence. And the important thing about physical competence is that you need to have good physical well-being, not just for yourself, but also for those that you lead. So encourage your team to look after themselves physically, to eat well, to exercise regularly, to drink a lot of water, to be out in the sun, but also to rest. Don't be celebrating that you've only slept for 4 hours. Put in a good night's rest, because that would feed your energy for the next day. The third level is intellectual competence. Now, this is not about being smart or being clever. This is about bringing your best thinking to a project. When you do this, you allow your staff and those that you work with to come together and to collaborate and to share thoughts and ideas. You need to begin to tap into all the sensory data of thinking and smelling and sight and touch and feeling and even sound. Because when you bring all these things together, your intellectual competence also grows. Of course, in these dire times that we face, we realize that many companies are riding the wave of what I call crisis excellence. Crisis excellence is about when you were exceeding the goals and the targets and your productivity was high during the beginning of the pandemic. Yes, we were celebrating that, wow, we are able to do so much in a crisis, more than we've ever done before. But don't be fooled. This is almost like that adrenaline rush that gave you these extra superpowers. I mean, I remember myself running away from a snake at a speed that I couldn't understand. Adrenaline pushed me. But this is the fallacy of crisis excellence. The fallacy of crisis excellence is the erroneous belief that the excellence that you achieved in a crisis will continue even after the crisis has ended. Don't be fooled. The very things that you were able to achieve during a crisis are not sustainable. Because we began in the beginning of lockdown where people were resilient because they were trying to keep their jobs. So they worked hard, they put in all the effort. But over a period of time, after 3-4 months, they became traumatized by what was going on around them. And then we shifted from resilience to empathy to compassion. Now we are at a stage where we need to move from empathy and compassion to productivity once more. And so allow me therefore to share the 3 important elements of adaptive leadership. How do we employ adaptive leadership? And the first one is to reinforce accountability and process ownership. I mean, there are many opportunities throughout life for us to be able to improve on our accountability. It means that you as a leader need to show up and to deliver. It means that you as a leader need to have integrity, to be honest, to have those tough conversations. Because your accountability does not just lie with you. You are responsible for the team that you lead, but you are accountable to your shareholders, to the leaders above you. So just give yourself that check of integrity. Am I doing the right things? Especially when no one is watching. That's important from an accountability point of view. But there are 2 key things under this accountability aspect that I think are critical. And the first one is about fostering connection. Not just normal connection, but I'm talking about deep connection. You remember those days when you were in the office and you could walk by and bump into people in the corridor and say, hey, Jim, how are you doing? How was your weekend? You'd speak about sport and you'd speak about life in general. Or you met at the coffee station and you had these conversations. Or you were in a staff meeting and you were celebrating successes. But now we're in a virtual space. How do you foster connection? How do you speak to each other online and have the same experience as if it were physical? I want to make a suggestion and say maybe when you have your next MS Teams meeting, why don't you open the Teams room a little bit earlier? Maybe 15 minutes? Let people hop on early. Let them have conversations about their weekend. Let them blow off some steam before you actually start the formal meeting. We want to inculcate connection, a deeper connection. The second part of this reinforcing accountability is about giving everyone a voice. All employees, regardless of rank or file or position, need to share, need to collaborate, need to have their thoughts heard, especially in a pandemic where we are stuck at home. So are you beginning to provide that opportunity for people to share? In fact, are you also recognizing what people have done? Because you see, when you give people a voice, you are letting them share their stories, the stories of resilience, the stories of hope, the stories of how they overcame, and in fact, even the stories of the challenges they faced. Because guess what? In that same room, there will be someone who has had a similar experience and was able to overcome, and they can learn from that. I could even say it's copy and paste. So how are you building on giving people a voice? The second element of how to develop adaptive leadership is about leading with empathy. Now, let me be honest. If you do not know what your customers want or what they need, or even what your staff want and what they need, guess what's going to happen? You're going to lose them to the competition. And so we need to begin to realize the importance of leading with empathy and leading with compassion. This is not about being overly kind-hearted or lenient. This is about understanding what your staff are going through, understanding what your customers' needs are. It's about putting yourself in their shoes. You don't have to do that, feeling all timid and soft and weak. This is a strength, in fact. And so how do you do that? Let me give you an example. The Instapot, right? The Instapot is an electric pressure cooker. It came as version 2.0 of the normal standard pressure cooker that you put on the stove. For organizations that made the pressure cooker, they said, well, this thing is working. Why do we have to change things? But what they didn't realize is what the customer wanted and what the customer needed was something more advanced, more convenient, simpler to use, with better results. And how often do we find that as organizations, we have products and services lined up for market, but we haven't even understood what the customer wants? The same could be happening in your organization, not understanding what your staff want and need. And the third element of adaptive leadership is model the change you want to see. Leaders are called to walk the walk and talk the talk, but most importantly, to walk the talk. The same standard that applies to your normal staff members should apply to you. It should be uniform across the entire organization. So that means you've got to show up and literally deliver what you would expect them to deliver. And there are 3 levels of culture in an organization that I think are very important. And the first one is about what we see. These are the behaviors, the systems and the policies and everything that surrounds how people behave in an organization. This is important for workplace culture, especially a successful workplace culture. The second is about what we say. And this is about the ideals and the goals and the aspirations, not just of you as the leader, but those that you lead. Listen, the more you listen to your staff and their contributions to the organization, the better for the business, because then you have a plethora of examples and innovations for the organization to be able to succeed. And the third, under the model, the change you want to see, is about what we believe, the underlying assumptions that guide behavior, the values, the core values, the principles, the morals, the ethics. These are all important. And so we see in these 3 examples of how to develop adaptive leadership, the accountability, the empathy, and modeling the change you want to see. Which brings me to the call to action. And I've got 3 I'd like to share with you today. The first one, no-brainer. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Listen, you've got to be able to communicate, not just for the sake of communicating, but effectively. And there are many platforms you can use. It doesn't just have to be MS Teams. Even within MS Teams, try and incorporate different technologies that can make the meeting or the event exciting and engaging, interactive. But hey, listen, as a leader, you can also pick up the phone. Pick up the phone and speak to people. People want to hear voices. We missed that. We haven't been seeing each other physically, but can we just hear your voice? What about a text with a GIF or a meme? Make it exciting, make it fun, so that when people hear that there's a meeting, they're excited to come to the meeting. Communication, very important. The second call to action is show appreciation. Yes, I know you pay good salaries and great incentives. Yippee. But let me tell you, the most important thing about showing appreciation is actually recognizing someone for the deeds that they've done, accepting that they're doing a good work. And you need to do that in a public forum. In that MS Teams meeting, recognize Jill for the great job that she's done on a particular account. Recognize somebody else for what they've done. Maybe ask someone to share their story. Don't be the one who's holding on to the airtime in a meeting. Let people share and let them talk, and then show appreciation. That goes a long way in building confidence, in building loyalty, and that's a very important thing in workplace culture for success. The last one is about exuding courage. I'm reminded 2 years ago, I think it was, I traveled to Victoria Falls in Zim, and one of the activities I decided to do was to walk with the lions. Let me tell you, when I came back and I posted images and videos online, I had people phoning me and saying, "Do you want to die?" No. You see, I had to learn to develop courage for myself to be able to do the work that I do, to be able to stand on platforms such as the one I'm standing on right now, to be able to deliver a presentation. It's all about courage. Even leaders need to develop courage to be able to have those crucial conversations. And so when I walked with the lion, I realized immediately that I don't know how to walk with a wild animal, and I was given the rules of engagement. One of the rules of engagement was don't run, because if you run, you're going to be a meal. So I learned that. The second one is don't tie your shoelaces, because the moment you're at the height of a lion, it thinks you're challenging it, so you become a meal. The third was they gave me the stick and they said, listen, if the lion suddenly turns on you, just hit the ground and say, "Hey, kitty, kitty." And the lion, because it's a playful cat, will play with the stick. And I said, I'm not sure if I'm sticking around for that. But then I remembered I can't run. So I had to comply with the rules of engagement. There are rules of engagement in the workplace. There are rules of engagement with your customers. But if you develop the courage to be able to have great conversations, courageous conversations within those rules, you will find that you can develop a great workplace culture. It isn't easy, but it is possible. And so when you leave this meeting today, I just want to ask you to go back and look at all the difficult things that you've had to face and see how you can begin to develop courage. Challenge yourself to overcome some of those things that you are afraid to challenge. I'd like to close off with a quote that I really love by Heraclitus of Ephesus, and he says, "Nothing is, everything becomes. No condition persists unaltered, even for the smallest moment. Everything is ceasing to be what it was and is becoming what it will be." My question to you as I close, as a leader, is what are you becoming in the process of facing these crises? How are you embracing adaptive leadership? I hope the lessons that I've shared today will inspire you to challenge your current status quo and take you on this new journey of leading and appreciating the people that you lead. My name is Dr. Alex Granger. It's been a pleasure being with you today. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing such captivating insights, Alex. When we look back, it's incredible to see how the need to survive shifted the focus from high performance to dealing with burnout and psychological trauma within a few months. This really highlights the pace of change we have to deal with as leaders and the importance of developing an adaptive leadership ability. The Momentum Corporate Research was conducted in March this year with both clients and non-clients, so the results are hot off the press. The online survey was completed by 110 business leaders, 483 employees, and 104 financial advisors from varied demographic profiles. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce our CEO, Dumombete, who will share the results of the research.
A warm hello to everyone in the audience today. Financial advisors, clients, retirement fund trustees, and some of our colleagues. A big thank you, Alex, for the great insights that you shared. As you said, the changing world of work and how leaders can better impact their employee value propositions to improve their workspace culture needs to be paired with confidence in your business and its strategy. Whatever your industry or business, many of us are asking, what is the formula to take our business forward in these turbulent times? Peter Drucker, an Austrian management consultant who greatly influenced modern business management, theorized that managers should be leaders above all else. One of the interesting perspectives he presented was this. He said that the greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence itself, but to act with yesterday's logic. As we make decisions that will impact our organizations for many years to come, a big risk is ignoring or even downplaying the fundamental shifts that are taking place. To keep up with these shifts in this changing world of work and changing employee expectations, some significant mental shifts may be necessary to rewire approaches to leadership, culture, employee value propositions, as well as employee benefits. Like Kawagazi said, to better understand the current situation and the challenges ahead, we embarked on a multi-level research project. I will share a snapshot of what we found, but don't be worried. It won't be a death by numbers or death by statistics presentation. Today is more about what lies behind the numbers and beyond the figures. We believe in the power of partnerships with financial advisors, with clients, and members, which is why we conducted this research. We hope these insights will help us to all better understand the changing landscape as we navigate our way forward in these challenging times. COVID-19 reshaped the world of business as we knew it. Overnight, nearly all businesses surveyed had to revise their business and operational strategies due to the pandemic, with a third experiencing major disruption and retrenchment. Not surprising then that earlier this year, South Africa faced a record high unemployment rate, and liquidations are also on the rise. Our client base was sadly not spared. We can see on our umbrella fund book that employers are feeling the impact of the economy. Our clients' employee count reduced by about 7.5% during this time. And we also see pockets of salary cuts, and this is further validated by the 220% increase in retrenchments we saw during the second half of 2020. The pandemic clearly had a tremendous impact on most businesses, but how do leaders believe their businesses fared? Let's find out. Most leaders felt their businesses were resilient and experienced greater unity across their leadership teams. This is an important result as organizational resilience and unified leadership are particularly important in times of crisis. When the pandemic struck, our Momentum Corporate Exco team also had to implement measures to stay connected. We increased the frequency of our formal meetings and made a point of checking in almost on a daily basis, more so during level 5 and level 4 of the lockdown. But the business landscape is not only made up of large corporate companies. The average resilience score for smaller businesses with less than 50 employees was marginally below the overall average. We've seen that the environment was particularly tough for businesses younger than 10 years. Most businesses who felt they had been highly resilient were those that only needed minor or even no revisions to their business and operational strategy. So it seems perceptions around resilience are linked to the degree of disruption that was experienced. Now, despite high scores around resilience and unified leadership, leading in these times has not been easy at all. Even with these challenges, employees in general felt connected to their organizations. Most felt supported by leaders and believed that they worked for an employer of choice. Given the challenges of lockdown and working from home, there are many controllable factors in the current workspace that are driving engagement levels up. Now, these include the flexibility of working from home, management support, good communication, and more intentional engagement. The burning question, though, is how we address the factors that impact negatively on engagement. Some of these are fear, stress, and a loss of personal interaction. We'll explore answers to this question as our journey unfolds today. Research from AfriForte highlights the extent to which the current environment is impacting on the workforce and elevating stress levels. Since July 2020, 32% of employees have been at risk of stress-related health impairment. The way we work has undergone a rapid and radical transformation. At Momentum Corporate, we had our fair share of challenges as well. As an essential service, we remained open despite the lockdown. However, it was necessary to move most of our people off-site. We equipped everyone with 3G cards and laptops. Yes, for some of our colleagues, who only had desktops, we now had to scramble to acquire laptops. And we worked around the clock to minimize the impact on service delivery and had most employees working from home effectively within 4 days. Of course, we only came face to face with some of the real challenges of working from home further down the line, as schools closed and we also became daily carers and teachers. Now, personally, I can tell you that running a company is not nearly as daunting as keeping my 3-year-old daughter constantly entertained and engaged in her online classes. Really tough one. 3-year-olds on online classes, quite a tough mix. Now, currently, we follow a hybrid working model, and we asked leaders and financial advisors about their work models for the future. Around half of the organizations plan for their employees to return to their work sites, while 44% plan to adopt a hybrid model. However, the vast majority of financial advisors will continue working remotely or in a hybrid work environment. Globally, post the pandemic, nearly half of employees will work remotely at least some of the time, according to a Gartner study. It appears that locally and internationally, leaders are aligned in their approach with a new hybrid work model. But let's spin this around. What do employees prefer? AfriForte's research tells us that employees' preferences are almost in direct contrast with what leaders have in mind when it comes to returning to work sites. Always working from home or even a hybrid work model are by far employees' preferred options. Organizations will need to be aware of this dynamic and be a lot more flexible in terms of where work takes place. Now, having outlined the shape the new world of work is likely to take, what are some of the big challenges keeping business leaders and financial advisors awake at night? Weak business growth in the current economy, loss of income because clients have closed down, the cost of setting up work from home offices, bad debts, people are not paying, and limited new business opportunities. These are just a few of the big challenges that we all face. Mental health is under pressure, severe pressure. Adapting to the new working environment, feelings of isolation, and a lack of connection, as well as the fear of infection and retrenchment, are just some of the stressors that we are faced with. Because of COVID-19, mental health has once again shifted firmly into the spotlight. Based on our claims stats, mental health claims, already 9% of all our disability claims on average, are likely to spike in the near future. There are some practical ways companies can start to address employee mental well-being. For example, at Momentum Corporate, we introduced meeting-free zones, such as Wellness Wednesdays, where no internal meetings can be scheduled on a Wednesday afternoon. We also communicate regularly with employees, reminding them about the parts of our EVP that can help them to deal with the various stresses that they face. Musculoskeletal related claims, which are already one of the top 3 claim causes, are also likely to rise due to poor ergonomics of home-based offices. A few weeks into the hard lockdown, many of our employees requested to bring their office chairs home due to the lack of chairs with proper working ergonomics at home. Our critical illness claims also increased by 10% each year since 2016. And in 2020, strangely enough, these claims declined by 15%. The dip seems counterintuitive. The fear of contracting the virus has kept many people away from healthcare visits, preventative screening, as well as having elective surgeries. As a result of this, many haven't received the care that they need, and chronic illnesses like cancer, diabetes, and heart disease will only be detected and treated much later, making their impact more severe and resulting in a delayed rise in critical illness claims. Another challenge that leaders and financial advisors are concerned about is technology support and security in the work from home environments, as we have seen recently with the rise in cybercrime. Moving to a more permanent work from home arrangement also means less personal contact, and finding different ways to measure employee productivity and business success becomes critical. There is growing evidence that a fair percentage of COVID-19 sufferers do not regain their previous health following the disease, experiencing prolonged symptoms. This phenomenon is referred to as long COVID, and it appears to affect all age groups. Now, a recent UK-wide study found that 70% of people hospitalized with COVID-19 had not fully recovered even 5 months after the infection, and 20% developed a new disability. Now, much still needs to be understood about long COVID, but it clearly has implications for workplace productivity. The pace of change has been extraordinary. So it certainly resonates when Professor Ina Rothman at the Northwest University says, the pace of change that COVID-19 brought did not allow for any gradual change management. Both employees and managers are in a constant management of change mode. Now that we've mapped the journey and identified the challenges, the question is, what can leaders do to give their organizations that edge over others? Alex shared how leadership can create an organizational culture to support your journey to success. Why is company culture so important in today's environment? Now, once again, Drucker had an interesting perspective when he said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. This doesn't mean strategy is not important, but rather that an enabling culture is a surer route to organizational success. An enabling culture, co-created by leaders and employees, gives an organization the best chance of continuous success. It cultivates high employee engagement and performance to ensure delivery of the strategy and help your business achieve its purpose. The starting point for building an enabling culture is a noble purpose. Why does your organization exist? Why do your clients buy from you? Our research shows that leaders, employees, and financial advisors regard a company's purpose and strategy as very important when you look at the overall employee value proposition. Almost all employees that were part of the survey are very clear on their organization's purpose, which means that employers have done a good job of communicating their organization's purpose clearly. This is important because a clear understanding as well as a connection with a company's purpose is an important driver of employee engagement. Earlier on, we discussed the factors that negatively impact employee engagement, like emotional, psychological, economic, financial, as well as health challenges during a crisis like COVID-19. Part of cultivating an enabling culture is caring, being empathetic, and compassionate in times of crisis, which is now more important than ever. Employees generally felt that their leaders showed up with care and empathy during the pandemic. Leaders scored themselves slightly higher than employees. But what I would like to say is kudos to the leaders who came across as caring and empathetic despite the many challenges that they faced during this time. These high scores also show why businesses were resilient, which is a key capability to sustain individuals and organizations in times of crisis. Our research shows that as average scores for care and empathy increase, so do average scores for building trust and confidence. Creating an enabling culture means leaders take their employees' needs into consideration. This is where a company's value proposition, EVP for short, is important. An EVP designed to create an enabling culture that is based on caring for your employees must address their emotional, psychological, physical, and financial well-being. So we asked employers and employees to tell us which components of an EVP are most important to them. Alignment with a company's strategy and purpose scored the highest and is very important, as I mentioned earlier. The pandemic has further highlighted the value of employee benefits. From the results, it is clear that employee benefits are just as important as all the other components of the EVP. The difference in the weighted score is insignificant from a statistical perspective. Our research shows that as the average importance score for value adds and rewards increases, so do average importance scores for employee benefits. Integrating these two components makes for a compelling offering to employees. Since employees will experience the value of the various EVP components depending on their needs and circumstances, flexibility and choice are important. As employers and leaders, we should base our EVPs on our employees' lived experiences, needs, and wants. It should be a two-way conversation and not a top-down approach. At Momentum Metropolitan, we try to walk this talk by taking a think human first approach in building our own EVP. It's clear from the research that physical, psychological, emotional, and financial stressors are taking a toll on employees. What happens in the work climate, which is the level of balance between job demands and resources, impacts on the work-related well-being of employees, such as levels of burnout, commitment, distraction, and engagement. This, in turn, impacts on employee functioning and ultimately organizational outcomes, such as culture, competitiveness, and customer service. Professor Rothman's work clearly shows that when employees are suffering, it doesn't only impact on a business's culture, but ultimately also on the success of the business. We also know that employees regard employee benefits as a very important component of the EVP, which supports a business's culture. Using insights like these, we continually develop solutions and benefits that address the trends that we see emerging. It is crucial to focus on what matters to your employees throughout their employment journey, to offer them solutions that go beyond traditional retirement savings and insurance benefits. The financial services industry norm has always been to prioritize annual premium income. You know we love acronyms, so for short, API. But at Momentum Corporate, the API that we believe is the true driver of business success is for employees to feel appreciated, protected, and therefore invested in the success of the business they are a part of. We focus on prioritizing the human experience above all else for the success of your business. To address the needs of your employees, consider their real life experiences and how to respond to them with evolved logic to create an enabling culture. We know that employees are struggling with physical, psychological, emotional, and financial stresses. Alex explained the fallacy of crisis excellence. Your employees' initial spike in productivity may not last forever, and you may see them crash and burn. We see how important it is to focus on communication, engagement, collaboration, and connection. But we also know that your employees may not understand their employee benefits, which may leave them somewhat anxious. So, how can you, as an employer and a leader, respond to their needs? Is there a formula for maintaining that critical edge for success to take your business forward in difficult times? We also asked this question when we started the conversation today. Well, I believe there is. And I believe it starts with the right relationships. By partnering with a provider that uses data-driven insights to develop evidence-based employee benefit solutions with a think human first approach, financial advisors can help employers create a workplace culture that enables business success. Showing our employees we care about what matters to them serves as motivation to be invested in the success of the business and directs their behavior accordingly. Employees whose needs are met and feel that they are appreciated and protected are not only invested in the success of the business, but they become a strategic enabler for that business's success. This is the science of employee benefits. Thank you for listening. I trust that you found the research results insightful and helpful in keeping your organization on your journey to success. Back to you, Kawegas.
Thank you, Dumo. I'm sure you'll all agree these are some eye-opening insights and thinking. It's all good and well talking about formulas, but the real burning question is, how do we turn this theory into practice and unlock the power of employee benefits? We've asked Nico van der Walt to share some examples of evidence-based solutions and practices that embody the principle of partnerships and think human first approach. He will demonstrate how Momentum Corporate meets the needs of our clients and members in these changing times. So, Nico, how are we helping clients, employees, and fund members deal with the tremendous stresses they face in this new normal?
Thank you, Kawe. That's a very important question. Just like following a holistic approach to your personal health, a holistic approach to employee benefits is also good for the health of a business. A key aspect of holistic employee benefits approach is access to an employee assistance program, for short, an EAP. Historically, EAPs operated outside employee benefits mix. Integrating an EAP with your employee benefit solution generates synergies with other benefits. This can play a key role in reducing the impact of physical, psychological, emotional, and financial stressors, which can result in absenteeism and disability. Dumo mentioned earlier that 9% of all our disability claims are due to psychiatric conditions. Psychiatric conditions seem to affect younger members around the age of 40. It is generally accepted that over half the workforce today are millennials. The oldest members of this generation are also being around 40 years, and that 19% of psychiatric claims are on managerial or supervisory roles. It makes sense to follow a holistic approach to employee benefits, as many of our members fall in this age and job category. This is why our clients and their employees can now access professional employee assistance services as part of the employee benefit solution at no additional cost. This access includes a useful analytics dashboard for HR and wellness personnel, providing valuable insights for employers and helping them to understand the impact of their various wellness initiatives, identifying high-risk areas. The new EAP was launched in January this year and is complemented by our telehealth services through Hello Doctor. We saw significant uptake in the use of Hello Doctor during the early lockdown months and winter when people avoided in-person healthcare visits.
Another major stressor for many people has been arranging funerals amid various restrictions on the number of attendees and travel. Tell us more about the realities when it comes to funeral arrangements.
Yes, Kabakazi, when that moment comes to say goodbye to a loved one, in times when we are physically apart, the healing process can be interrupted. Virtual funerals have become an alternative, allowing those unable to attend in person to be there in a different way, so that families and loved ones can still mourn together. The traditional funerals have always been very expensive, but virtual funerals do still come at some cost, and they require technical know-how. This is why we've added an industry-first virtual funeral benefit to our funeral assistance service. The benefit is available from 1 May to 31 July at no additional cost to clients who have the funeral assistance service benefit. It offers these clients a way to mourn with their loved ones during times of loss.
I mean, who would have thought that a few months ago that even funerals would become virtual events? It again amplifies the shift to the digital world. So given the acceleration of the digital landscape, how do we help members to understand their employee benefits and experience the real value of their benefits?
From the results of a research study we conducted in 2018, we saw that members of retirement funds have a limited understanding of their benefits and the terminology used across the industry. Their lack of understanding naturally leaves them anxious. Based on this research, the acceleration of the digital landscape and the digital needs of younger generations, we developed our brand new Smart Benefit Statement. Another industry first, our Smart Benefit Statement, was launched in October 2020. It gives members real-time information about their retirement and group benefits on any digital device. The experience is educational and empowering, providing relevant educational material and demystifying terminology or concepts for members at the click of a mouse. Earlier this year in March, we did a follow-up study to test the improvement in members' understanding, their benefits and the industry terminology. More than 2,700 members participated in the study. About 75% told us that the language in the new Smart Benefit Statement has made it simpler and easier for them to understand terms they were previously unfamiliar with. Older members still had a better understanding of their benefits and industry terminology than younger members, but this is due to their years of exposure to employee benefits. Younger, digitally savvy members received the new digital benefit statement exceptionally well. Nearly half of Funds at Work Umbrella Fund members received a Smart Benefit Statement last year and gave us very favorable ratings. This year, we are certainly rolling it out to even more members. A worldwide trend is that many businesses have accelerated the pace of digital adoption. Having access to up-to-date, real-time information in a digital format that is easy to access and understand has become the norm for members across generations. What remains interesting is that the need for human interaction won't disappear. Last year, volatile markets and rising retrenchment sent our benefit counseling and financial coaching services into overdrive. In crisis times, members still want to speak to someone in person. By the end of June 2020, calls from worried members had already increased fourfold, while outbound calls to members had more than doubled. We will continue to prioritize member experience while working towards increasing members' financial literacy and finding better, simpler ways to communicate in a way that suits their needs and expectations.
It's imperative for clients and their employees to understand their benefits and the value. But often the real value of insurance benefits is only experienced when they submit a claim. Our business is to pay claims. How did Momentum Corporate support our clients as we started to feel the impact of COVID-19?
COVID-19 has not been kind to our industry. From July 2020, we started to experience the full brunt of COVID-19 with a significant spike in death claims, resulting in excess death claims of several hundred million being paid. Although this put us in a loss-making position, we have never doubted our responsibility to honor claims quickly and efficiently, and we remain in a very strong capital position. Although premium increases are unfortunately unavoidable given the ongoing threat of COVID-19, we have not given any interim increases, and any adjustments have been made on the normal policy renewal dates. In addition, we have tried to mitigate the extent of increases to well below the claims costs we expect in the coming year. Given the constraints of the hard lockdown, we relaxed medical underwriting requirements during this time to allow our members sufficient time to provide medical evidence where needed. We also saw a significant uptake in the use of smart underwriting process arising from a need for digital solutions in a lockdown environment. Our smart underwriting digital solution was yet another first, launched in May 2018, to overcome industry-wide pain points in the underwriting process. We are pleased to see the rest of the industry following suit, now adopting digital underwriting solutions and helping to make underwriting a friendlier process across the industry. Our Disability Management and Wellness Care Centre worked hard to provide additional support to employers and their employees returning to work after a long absence. Whether COVID-19 related or for other reasons, our focus is to provide additional support necessary to facilitate their successful reintegration into the workplace.
The rising cost pressures of the current environment have given the move to umbrella fund arrangements greater impetus. Have we adapted our processes and offerings for clients who want to migrate to an umbrella fund?
Yes, Kavakazi, the rising cost pressures definitely play a big role in the number of standalone retirement funds migrating to umbrella arrangements. But we also are seeing this move accelerating due to the increased fund governance requirement and legal pressure on boards of trustees, as well as employee needs for simplified administration benefits. One of the ways we've supported clients wishing to follow this route has been by facilitating a new flexible hybrid model. For example, we have worked closely with a large client to implement a model that gave employees the choice to stay on an existing standalone fund or move to the Funds at Work umbrella funds. Through a comprehensive engagement program of roadshows, workplace media and written communication, we made sure that all members had a clear understanding of the different options to empower them to make an informed decision. The principles of this hybrid model are a commitment to partnership between client, financial advisor and us as service provider to find a think human first solution that works for all members and the employer.
Thank you, Nico. This is truly a great example of how we've partnered with the employer to transition their employees to a solution that meets their needs. I have one last question for you though. Can you tell us a little bit more about how else to support our clients to keep their businesses on their journey to success?
In 2020, we changed our rewards program for employers, Multiply for Corporates, to allow employers on the program to use the rewards for business needs specifically related to COVID-19 and lockdown requirements. Program participants earned rewards to the value of 6.7 million last year, with one client accumulating a total in rewards of 1 million rand. There are a few easy steps that employers who are registered for Multiply for Corporates can take to increase the rewards they earn. They simply need to complete their workplace safety score and improve the engagement by providing the details of their members of the advisory body, if they have one, providing the employees' contact details, and using smart solutions when the employees change employers. It's as easy as that. The more they engage, the more rewards they can earn. And these rewards can be used to fund EVP initiatives that help improve the health and well-being of the employees. We enter 2021 with cautious optimism, but the storm is far from over. However, I want to ensure all our clients and financial advisors that despite the pressure on our industry, as a business we remain well capitalized and financially resilient, secure in our ability to pay all valid claims. While much remains uncertain, what is certain is that our continued commitment to our clients, members and financial advisors.
Thank you, Nico, for sharing some tangible examples of the science of employee benefits in practice. Let's watch a short video which tells the Momentum Corporate story in numbers.
Momentum Corporate, the employee benefits business within Momentum Metropolitan, delivers solutions for employers and retirement funds. Our solutions, spanning 5 business areas, include group insurance, the Funds at Work umbrella retirement funds, structured investments and annuities, advice and administration services, and member solutions. Let's explore each business area in more detail. We paid 1.2 billion Rand of income disability benefits, 350 million Rand in lump sum disability benefits, 2.6 billion Rand in death benefits. Our Funds at Work umbrella funds has 59 billion Rand in assets under management. Research shows that the key Funds at Work market differentials include high levels of flexibility and the extent of digital engagement. Between July and December 2020, half the Funds at Work members engaged digitally, giving the experience a favorable rating. 2020 highlighted how our smooth bonus portfolios and annuities business protects members' benefits from market volatility. A key player in this market, with assets under management of around 33 billion Rand, we have the scale to grow significantly. To unlock synergy and sustainable client value, our advice and standalone retirement fund administration capabilities merged leadership structures. Adding technical consulting skills to our administration business creates a stronger value proposition for current and future clients. Our Member Solutions Unit helps members to make better informed financial decisions on their journey to success. Our benefit counselors and financial coaches experience an increase in member interactions during uncertain times, when members still want to speak to someone in person. Multiply for Corporates is a rewards program for employers. Since the launch of the program, over 1,000 employers have accumulated 6.9 million Rand in rewards, which can be reinvested in various employee wellness and business continuity initiatives. Momentum Corporate is headed by CEO Dumo Mbete, supported by a strong leadership team and over 1,000 dedicated employees. Despite the COVID-19 bump, we remain strong, financially resilient and well capitalized. We believe the right advice and partnerships can make any business unstoppable. Momentum Corporate, here for clients on their journey to success. Momentum Corporate is a part of Momentum Metropolitan Life Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
The new way of work, with some employees working remotely, a company may lose their in-person interactions that reinforce purpose and build camaraderie. Employees can become disconnected from a company's purpose and their co-workers. Teams can feel fragmented when there are no moments of small talk over lunch or a quick coffee in communal areas. So going forward, work is likely to follow a hybrid approach with flexibility of choice. To keep employees engaged and connected to your company's purpose despite this divide, it's really important to create opportunities for engagement. We're all just finding our way in this new way of work. Remote work can mean that some employees become disconnected from a company's purpose and their colleagues. We'd like to share with you some practical yet effective tips that you can apply to keep your employees engaged and connected. Adopt an adaptive leadership style that is one step ahead of the change curve. Turn on the camera during online meetings, even if it's just at the start of the meeting, just to check in and greet. Make time for small talk or well-being check-ins. Build in new routines and rituals that work remotely and help create an enabling culture. Create opportunities that enable employees to connect to their individual purpose and the business's noble purpose. If necessary, revise your EVP to care for your employees' needs and address the stress they face to support and create an enabling culture. Ensure that your employee benefits mix is evidence-based to help your employees to feel appreciated, to feel protected, and invested in the success of the businesses they are part of. As a business leader, you know your business has the potential to be great, but right now, there may be challenges blurring the way forward. We believe that with the right advice, your business can be unstoppable. And with the right partnership, financial advisors can access the employee benefits building blocks that help them bring the right advice for your business to life. As we near the end of our journey today, let's remind ourselves what we set out to do. We started by asking whether a formula for success actually exists. Our speakers shared their answers and unpacked some of the key ingredients in this formula. Now, it's your turn to comment on what you heard and ask questions. If you have not already done so, please post your questions or thoughts in the chat so we can comment on them.